So it would seem that Brett Kavanaugh's seat on the high court is all but certain after one of the biggest political battles in modern history. It was a tough day for the women who went all out confronting lawmakers in person. Do you remember this moment?
You have children in your family. Think about them. I have 2 children. I cannot imagine that for the next 50 years, they will have to have someone in the Supreme Court who has been accused of violating a young girl. What are you doing, sir?
It's hard to believe that was just last Friday. And it did seem to push Senator Flake to ask for the FBI's supplemental background check. That was the ray of sunshine. But then came the shade.
Don't you wave your hand at me. I wave my hand at you.
When you grow up, I'll be glad.
When I grow up, we grow up. How dare you talk to women that way? How dare you that first? How dare you?
These are survivors of crimes. Shoo shoo. The president harping on the moment with a fresh conspiracy theory, also known as BS, tweeting, "Very rude elevator screamers are paid professionals, funded by billionaire George Soros and others to make senators look bad." This from the man who had paid supporters there the night he announced his intention to run for the office. Well, both of the women he alleges are paid professionals are here with us now. Kathy Baynett, you heard her voice as she addressed Senator Hatch, and Ana Maria Archila, who confronted Senator Flake last week. Ladies, I'm sorry that I'm with you under these circumstances because I know what today meant to both of you, but thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thank you, Chris.
So, Ana, when you look back at just what happened a week ago, did you think that there was hope for a different outcome, or did you always expect that we would wind up here?
I always thought there was hope. That's why I was fighting. I was fighting for my children, and I continue to do that every day. Because it is, if we do not believe that people have a role in shaping the most important debates in our country, then we will not have the country that we deserve. So every day I show up thinking there is hope for us to build a country where all of us are respected, all of us are included. When I spoke with Senator Flake, you know, I did not think that he was going to change his vote, but I did in the Judiciary Committee at that moment, but I did think that he had heard the rage and the pain and the frustration of women, and that it was that he had heard it and that other people were hearing it too.
Right.
So I'm profoundly disappointed. I think that Flake and Collins and Manchin and all the Republicans failed to step to the challenge that women are presenting them by saying, listen to our stories and use them as a mirror for our country. Allow yourself to imagine that we can be different and be the one that helps repair this pain.
So the message is real and resonant, and we're living it as a country right now. How to negotiate what's right, what's wrong, what's the standard, what do we do about it outside a court and a trial. So Susan Collins struggled with this, she says, and came up with what she saw as a standard. I want your guys' take on what she explained today.
This is not a criminal trial, and I do not believe that the claims such as these need to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. The allegations fail to meet the more likely than not standard.
Now, more likely than not is a lower standard, obviously, than beyond a reasonable doubt, or even people would argue a preponderance of the evidence that we use in civil trials. What do you make of that, Kathy, the idea of we're going to do these in these settings, non-legal settings, more likely than not? Do you agree with that standard, and do you think it was met here?
Well, as I understand this, it was a job interview and not a legal proceeding.
Right.
I believe that Christine Blasey Ford was credible because she was willing to do the FBI in her process and the lie detector test. And I would have thought that he would have welcomed the same for himself. So no, I don't agree with Mrs. Collins.
Anna, how do you feel about that more likely than not? Some could articulate that, no pun intended, and irony aside, as a 51-49 kind of proposition. Now, I know those are the numbers of the membership in the Senate, but that if you get over that threshold, that's all Collins was looking for, and that wasn't met here. What do you think?
I mean, I think Senator Collins is missing the point. This was a tremendous opportunity for her and for other people in power to say, this is a moment that requires a different kind of leadership. What the experience of sexual assault is both, it's very personal, but it's a collective experience. That's why all of us were telling our stories. We were saying, look at us, look at me. And by looking at me, see all of us as the country and do something which you have within your power today to signal to the country that you will help change the culture that doesn't believe us, that forces us to provide all the evidence, that it starts out by assuming that our stories are not real, and that really fundamentally fails to understand the nature of sexual violence and the nature of trauma that lasts for decades.
The problem was we had what is a generational issue was balanced against a generation of jurisprudence. Essentially, Ford got in the way of what the GOP wanted here, and that is not the right setting to assess what is already complex and sensitive and what we're already struggling to understand and deal with. Just to get something out of the way, who was paid to get in the face of the senators? Either of you?
Nobody was paid.
Anna, were you paid? Just a yes or no?
No, of course not.
Did anybody have their signs made for them and made in a professional way?
Yes, we made signs. Listen, I am an organizer. I've spent the last 17 years building community organizations where people who are regular people find community, find power. We mass our resources together. We pool our money. We make signs together. We want to make sure that our government listens to us. That does not mean that we are paid or that we are pawns. That means that we are ready to fight for our lives, and by fighting for our lives, we're fighting for our country. That's what it is.
Well, Anna, Kathy, thank you very much. This is a moment that demands action. We all have to deal with what we want to be our cultural reality, and we are not there yet. The best to both of you. Thank you for taking this opportunity. I look forward to talking to both of you. We've got a long way to go, so we'll talk again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Thank you.